BMW E53 X5, BMW's first off-roader 4x4 SUV. Look, it's off-road, look. What more do you want from me? There's the road, there's the off-road. So this is my X5. It's 18 years old. I've owned it for approximately 5 years. It has 260,000 kilometers on the clock, and it's still used as our main family wagon. It gets driven pretty much every day, and this is what it looks like after 18 years and 260,000 kilometers. So when these X5s first came out, BMW's marketing department at the time had this fantastic idea of labelling these not as an SUV, but as an SAV. Oh yeah, I bet it was high fives all round in the boardroom on that day. Big bonuses for the marketing department that year. But what they obviously didn't realise is they made all the new potential customers for these new X5s sound like the biggest losers on planet Earth. Oh well, actually it's not a SUV, it's a sports activity vehicle. Oh yeah, it's a sports activity vehicle. Yeah, good one BMW. Did the head of the marketing department from that era now get promoted to grill size approval today? Yeah, that's great. Great one BMW. Okay, so the E53 X5. Is it a reliable vehicle or not? Well, it can be depending on which engine you choose. Now the V8 X5s are notoriously unreliable. They can present you with some big issues, namely timing chain guide failures on the M62 or on the later V8s, the N62, valve stem seal failures and coolant transfer pipes becoming leaky, which can be reasonably difficult to fix. The straight six engines on the other hand, the 3-litre M54 engine, although doesn't have the same power output, they can be super reliable. And then of course there are the diesel engine X5s too, that came equipped with the M57 engine, if that's your cup of tea. I'm not a big fan of the diesel engines though, personally. It's got to be said though, that the petrol engines do drink fuel no matter which one you go for. So if it's reliability you're after, over power, certainly go for the straight six engine. That's what I did. I've had a few BMWs with the M54 engines and they've proven to be good, reliable engines, so long as the cooling system is in good shape. Now what else can plague these cars other than the engine issues I've described? Well, the four-wheel drive system changed slightly on the later facelift models. They used an actuator to split the drive percentage between front and rear rather than it being fixed like the earlier type transfer case. Now the actuator on the later transfer case had plastic gear which can strip out. The earlier X5s had issues with the drive shaft splined ends on the drive shaft between the front differential and the transfer case. Now this splined end on the drive shaft being super short meant that there was hardly any length engaged within the splined opening in the transfer case, and this led to a lot of them stripping out. And it's worth mentioning that a worn drive shaft rubber, or guibo as they're also known as, can accelerate this stripping of the drive shaft splines also. It'll wreck your drive shaft and can wreck the splines in the transfer case too. The solution is to either replace the drive shaft or cut off the splined end and weld on a new section. Now these being relatively heavy vehicles, it can make them pretty hard on brakes and front control arms, so don't be surprised if you're going through discs, pads and front lower suspension parts at a reasonable rate. And as I've said in my previous DIY videos, these cars love to eat window regulators and door handle carriers, so expect to replace a few of these during your ownership. Sunroofs can present issues with their mechanisms too, so steer clear of sunroof models if you can. Now when I was looking to buy an E53 X5, I specifically wanted black, of course. It had to be a black X5 with the sports pack spec, which gives you the shadowline trim, sports seats and black interior pillar trims and headliner amongst a few other goodies. It had to have the 3-litre straight 6 engine because of the reliability. It's got to be said though, these X5s drive really nice with their suspension setup, especially for an SUV. Mine has the rear airbag suspension and it rides so nice, especially if I take the car off-road on a dirt track or head up to the ski fields here on the South Island. I have owned a couple of Subaru Outbacks which I bought specifically for heading up to the ski fields, but they drove horrendous on the access roads and it didn't help with their traction control cutting power despite them being all-wheel drive. The X5 has been great in comparison. Them airbags on the rear really make a big difference and the whole suspension setup makes it handle really well for an SUV on the road. Super smooth to drive, there's room in the back to chuck my snowboard in, so it works out well. I've got the rack on the roof for my mountain bike, but it is a bit of a stretch getting my bike up there, to be honest. And when I have been heading down the mountain, I do find the descent control super slow by today's standards as well. I think it tops out at around about 5 miles an hour. So what have I done to mine in the years that I've had it? So when I first bought it, the seller told me they had had a new front differential fitted. The first job I did was replace the air conditioning compressor because the existing one on the car had failed, which I knew about when I bought the car. I remember it well. I had to drive this vehicle home 1,000 kilometres in the middle of summer in this big black SUV. It was brutal, so that was my first job to get done. Then I went through the whole car, replacing all the fluids and filters, including the automatic transmission oil, differentials and transfer case. Then I moved on to some preventative maintenance by replacing many cooling system components because M54 engine. This comprised of expansion tank, thermostat, water pump, transmission thermostat, cooling fan and fan clutch. Next, all belts and pulleys tensioners, preventative also, followed by a new crankcase ventilation system. Next, I retrofitted the body kit with the side steps which it didn't have from factory, followed by matching front and rear bumpers with the whole PDC kit retrofitted. And repairs, they amount to the following: spark plugs, rebuilt the disvalve, power steering return hose, instrument cluster pixel fix, 3 ignition coils, rear tyres, 2 new door handle mechanisms, 2 new window regulators, wiper stalk to repair the special wash function, front rearward lower control arms, just the one, front forward control arm inner bushes, airbag sensor mat on the passenger seat, rear upper control arms, front discs and pads. It's had 6 oil changes and that is all. But yeah, this is our family wagon. It's used pretty much every day. It's been great. Has it proven to be reliable? For sure. And as well as it being used almost every day, we've also been on a few big trips in it and it's never let us down or left us stranded so far. So there hasn't been a huge amount of repairs in the time that I've owned it either, other than preventative maintenance, regular maintenance and the odd repair here and there. Yeah, it's been great. Would I recommend one? Sure, but only the 3-litre straight 6 models. Alright guys, so there we have it. That's a closer look at the E53 X5. If you found the video interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like and make sure you go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more BMW content. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.